Hello friends, welcome to the bridge connecting the aspirants. In this video, our focus is on current events of national and international importance of 20th April 2020. If this is first time you are watching my video, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also check out my other videos on UPSC books and current affairs. Alright, let's get into the content. So, the current events of 20th April 2020, we are going to divide them into two sections. One is the factual information for prelims only, and second thing is the events which are important for both prelims and mains, right? Let us begin with facts for prelims. First and foremost, and the most respite thing during this COVID is Goa has become first state in India to become COVID free. All the positive cases in Goa have turned negative. That means all of them have been treated and discharged. And from 3rd April onwards, there is no positive case in Goa. This is a huge boast that this COVID can be contained and India is doing a commendable job. Alright, let us go ahead. Next important fact is Tribo E mask. As it says, E means it is related to either electronic or electric. So here in this case it is related to electric. So it is simply a mask. I have given the schematic here. See, imagine that there is a mask which can be wearable, and this mask has the electric charge, so that that charge can be used to contain or to kill the germs which are spreading. Okay, so how does this mask work? So it works on the principle of electrostatics. You might have seen in your younger days the experiment that rubbing a plastic cover or a comb against your hair or any surface, it creates a positive charge and negative charge, so that the pieces of paper, they get attracted to that comb. So what does this mask contain? It contains two non-conducting layers, and when they are rubbed there will be a creation of charge, and the charge stays for a period, such that during that period, if there is any entry of the germs, they will be killed. Clear? I hope this is clear. Now, two more important facts with respect to this. It is developed by Center for Nano and Soft Matter Science. It is located in Bangalore and it comes under the Department of Science and Technology. Now moving on to the next fact, which is related to Remdesivir. It is a antiviral drug. It is developed by US based biotechnology lab in 2014 to treat Ebola virus cases. So during those times, it was also used to treat MERS and SARS. Remember, the present COVID coronavirus is also a variety of SARS. SARS stands for severe acute respiratory syndrome or diseases. Clear? So COVID is also a part of SARS. So why it was in news? Recently, it is now being tested or being studied in order to treat COVID-19. Clear? So these are the three important facts. Now let us see the events which are important for both prelims and mains. First and foremost, an event which is related to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So why was it in news? Recently, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation has criticized India. Whatever that is happening, it is growing Islamophobia. It said that the Muslim minorities are being negatively profiled and are facing discrimination and violence amidst this COVID-19 crisis in India. So the issue is, you might know that the government officials are saying many of the COVID-19 cases, they have a direct link with the Tablighi Jamaat which has happened in Delhi during the March time. So some of the cases, say 30% of the cases, they have direct or indirect contact with the people who have participated in that. So based on this, the Islamic organization has criticized India. Now, the important aspect for UPSC is related to what is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So let us know about it. It is an international organization founded in 1969 and it has 57 member nations, and it is the second largest intergovernmental organization after United Nations. And what is the goal of it? It states that the collective voice of the Muslim world. See, after Christianity, Muslim, that is Islam, is the largest population in the world, right? And it works to safeguard and protect the interest of the Muslim world. Clear? It also has permanent delegations in United Nations and European Union, and its permanent secretary is in Saudi Arabia. Next, one more important fact for prelims is earlier Syria used to be member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, but in 2012 its membership got suspended. Clear? This is important fact. Next, it has members from 4 continents. One is from Asia, next Africa, certain Islamic nations from Africa, and South America and Europe, particularly Albania from Europe. Clear? So remember these facts for prelims. Now moving on to the next event which is important, that is the government has recently amended the FDI policy. Some of the sections of the FDI policy have been changed. So why? It is to curb any opportunistic takeover or acquisition of Indian companies due to this COVID-19 pandemic. So let us see what are the changes that have been made. First and foremost, all the bordering countries, that is India has land boundary countries and ocean boundary countries. All these countries earlier they used to invest in India through FDI. Now remember, through FDI there are two routes. One is automatic route where there is no need for government approval. They have to invest and inform to the government through central bank that we have invested here. And second route is the government route. This is little bit difficult one where they have to inform to the government. They have to get the prior approval from the government before investing. Now all the countries, neighboring countries of India, this route, automatic route has been closed. This is the second change. Now they have to go through this government approval. Next change, right? Further, all the companies so which are from these neighboring nations, now they have to undergo the government scrutiny. That means the government will examine the activities of such companies. Clear? So why such a move has been made by the government of India? First, see, many Indian businesses have come to halt due to economic lockdown. You know this fact, many of the companies are not working, and in such a cases they are vulnerable and there is no profit at all. They are at the verge of making huge losses. In such a cases, if any particular company takes the opportunity to take over, then many of Indian companies will go into the hands of foreigners, so it will be a loss to our domestic economy. So recently the People's Bank of China has invested through stock market into HDFC. Now it has more than 1% of stake. So these events have triggered Indian government. Though it is made for all the neighboring nations, it is particularly targeted to China. Clear? Now, so what is the policy that we have been doing with neighbors so far? So all the non-resident entities can invest in India. They are subjected to the FDI policy. So there are certain sectors which are prohibited, like nuclear sector or the cigarette sector or the lottery sector. So apart from this, so rest of the sectors they can invest through automatic route. Clear? However, now it is prohibited. Next, second thing is the citizen of Bangladesh or entity of Bangladesh can invest only under government route. That means any investment that is coming into India has to go through the government approval. Next, with respect to Pakistan, it also can invest only through government route. Further, certain sectors such as defense, space, atomic energy, etc. are prohibited for Pakistan. So this is how we were dealing with FDI with the neighbors. Now this entire picture has changed due to these changes. Now let us say what are the concerns and impacts of such changes. First and foremost, now all the investments that is coming from the China or any other neighboring nation, it has to go through government approval. Next, second thing is, see, this is one of the serious concern that the amendment does not distinguish between greenfield and brownfield. What is the meaning of greenfield? Greenfield matlab a new project, whereas the brownfield is already existing one and they are going to renovate it. That means they are going to revitalize it. So there is no distinction between these two. So whatever the work that is happening in the brown field already approved by the government, either automatic or government road, now again it will go through the examination, the scrutiny by the government. So it is going to impact our ease of doing business. Clear? Next, the policy does not distinguish between different types of investors. Suppose there are certain investors which we call them as angel investors who preferably invest in the startups. Now, on one side, the India is encouraging the startups to come up with innovative solutions. For these startups, you need investments, and there are certain risk takers, we call them as entrepreneurs. They invest in these startups. Now, this change does not distinguish, so they have to go through the government approval process. This might discourage that investors. So, this is another concern. So, all the points are clear. If you have any doubt, do comment. I'll explain again. Right? Moving on to the next important event is with respect to National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage, ICH. So why was it in news? The Ministry of Culture has launched National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage of India. So let us see what is it and some facts related to it. So it is an attempt to recognize the diversity of Indian culture. So all important intangible cultural heritage will be compiled and a list will be made. So it is also part of the Vision 2024 of Ministry of Culture. So it is going to have a list of more than 100 elements, and another important thing is it is going to cover all 13 elements which are already there in UNESCO's representative list of intangible culture. So I take this opportunity to tell you that I'll be making another video on all this UNESCO intangible culture list. I already said I will be making one video on heritage list and another video on intangible cultural list. Now, so how come or what comes under this intangible culture? First and foremost, it has to be a oral tradition. Oral means by the voice, not by the document or by the written thing, but voice. So all the expressions and languages, etc. will be covered here. Next, all performing arts such as dance, music, etc., drama, etc. will be covered here. Next, social practices and certain rituals and festive events. For example, Kumbh Mela is a event. And knowledge and practices concerning nature and universe. If there is any conservation measure or a practice, then that will be added here. Then the traditional craftsmanship, and that is related with the traditional art. So all of them will be added to the list of intangible cultural heritage. Clear? Now moving on to the next important event. Next thing which got highlighted is related to the Electricity Act, the amendment to the 2003 Act. And recently the Ministry of Power has made this draft changes to the public so that we can uh, give some suggestions. So it invites suggestions. The time period is within 21 days. You can go through that portal and propose or give any changes. Now let us see a little bit about what is this amendment and what are the changes. First and foremost, it is to privatize the DISCOMs. What is the meaning of DISCOM? Distribution company. And second thing is to make cost reflective, cost effective electricity tariffs, and to reduce the subsidy and strengthening of the payment security, etc. Further, to reduce or to make ease of doing business in the power sector. Clear? So let us see the important provisions of the bill. As I said, it proposes to privatize the DISCOMs. Now let us understand the DISCOMs, even after being pushed by the government through various schemes such as Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, Uday scheme, or recapitalization, Indradhana scheme, etc., still they are running in losses. So in such a case, the privatization of DISCOMs might push them to enter into profits. Clear? Second thing is reduction in the cross subsidy. certain states are giving electricity subsidy and center is also giving electricity subsidy. In such a case, it becomes counterproductive. There is cascading effect on the subsidy and it is reducing the tariffs and the revenue collection, and it is also to simplify the tariffs. That means the per unit cost to be reduced. Next, it proposes a dedicated authority known as Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority in order to deal with non-performing contracts in power sector. Next, it also proposes to bring national renewable energy policy to boost the renewable energy sources in India. Clear? Next, another important change is that the state governments have been given the power to regulate the and to specify the transmission charges, that how the electricity is transmitted and what is the charge for it. Earlier, only central government used to do that. Now, state governments have also been given the power. Next thing is the cross-border power trade. Now, the transaction related to passage of electricity through India would be treated as transit between two nations. Now, India is supplying electricity to Nepal, to Bangladesh, etc. So, here it will be treated as the transit. Clear? Next thing is, it also states that whatever the amendment that has been made, they will be applicable to the union territories of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh. Now, this highlights the fact that the Jammu and Kashmir does not have any special provision anymore. So, whatever the changes or the acts that are made for India will also be applicable to Jammu Kashmir now, right? So, these are the events which got highlighted in the 20th of April. Let us do a quick revision. First, facts for prelims. One, with respect to the COVID, that Goa has become COVID free. Second thing is the mask, Tribo e-mask, so which uses electric charge to kill the germs. Next, third thing is with respect to a antiviral drug created by the USA. The name of this is Remdesivir. Clear? Now, the events which are important for both prelims and mains. First and foremost, the FDI policy and its changes, and the Organization for Islamic Cooperation and its statements and about it. Next is with respect to the draft amendment to the electricity bill. Next is with respect to intangible culture heritage, the list the which the Ministry of Culture has come up with. So this is it, guys. So if you have any doubts, so do comment. I'll reply within 24 hours. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press on the bell icon to get the updates. Thank you very much.